with Srila Prabhupada. I was his assistant when I lived in India in the Delhi temple. And Srila Prabhupada was bathing Radha and Krishna with yogurt and ghee and honey and things. And he was sitting in front of the deities, and from his eyes came water like a syringe.
Hmm. Wow.
Just straight out, Prabhu, like for more than a foot. Just and and that's like an ecstatic symptom.
Hmm.
And I was staring at him, and when he noticed that I was staring at him, he made a very abrupt gesture, like "do this or do that, make yourself useful," kind of thing. He did, you know. So yes, Srila Prabhupada's a pure devotee, and so it seems like Krishna allows for us to see, but Srila Prabhupada shows us, or Krishna shows us through Srila Prabhupada, that it's not something that he wants to. In other words, we can have hints that of where Srila Prabhupada is. Srila Prabhupada doesn't have to do japa or um, or attend Mongol Artik
Hmm.
or he's acting like he's a Madhyamadakari.
Hmm.
He's showing us how we should act and setting a good example. But but we know that Srila Prabhupada, he's a Shakti-Avesh avatar. He never forgets Krishna for a moment,
Hmm.
and he has ecstatic love of Krishna, and he's empowered by Krishna to do things that no human being could do,
Sure.
etc. And so I was talking against these things, and
So one question I have is, you joined Srila Prabhupada's movement ISKCON in 1968 in Canada, right?
say that again, Prabhu.
Well, I'm saying that you joined Srila Prabhupada's
Oh
International
yeah,
Society for Krishna Consciousness in Canada in 1968, and
yeah.
then you went to London. Or was that the first assignment for or service?
Well, he Srila Prabhupada knew that I was involved with music,
Hmm.
so you know, and that I was interested in music. So he wrote to me that there were some of his devotees were in London.
Hmm.
That was Sham Sundar and Malati and Gurudas and Yamuna
Hmm.
and who else?
Mukunda?
Mukunda and Janaki, yeah.
Hmm.
And he said that they're involved with music and they are having some relationship with the Beatles.
Hmm.
That why don't I go and join them? Well, of course, I was very excited to go and join them, and I didn't get on with the Beatles. I mean, I I was in the recording studio with Lennon, not Lennon, with Harrison, George Harrison, and the devotees were just overwhelmed with the fact that they had anything to do with the Beatles. Myself, I was never a Beatle fan. I didn't care for one way or another. I wasn't even particularly interested in their music at that time. Uh, or I just thought it was rock and roll and that something for the kids get all excited about these things. So I said, George had hair down his back, and a big beard and all that. And I said, why don't you shave up like the rest of us? And and so the devotees, they got me out of there real fast
Mm,
because they didn't want they really want. I guess it wasn't too wise of me because, like Srila Prabhupada, he he received, I think, $19,000 from George to print the Krishna book, and he encouraged George. And I think he told George that it wasn't necessary for him to shave his head, and and he even had George write some kind of introduction to the Krishna book. But from my point of view, it's not because George was a great devotee. It's because if people thought that George is in Krishna Loka, they'll want to go to Krishna Loka more to not to be with Krishna, but to be with George. so, so Srila Prabhupada could use that to promote Krishna book to make people interested. So I don't think he Srila Prabhupada had George write something in the front of Krishna book because uh, because of George's Krishna consciousness, but because the public admires George so much.
mm,
So he could take advantage of that, Srila Prabhupada.
mm,
And myself, I guess I wasn't being so intelligent because, but anyway, then we all went to live on John Lennon's estate because the temple wasn't zoned to be a temple. It was in a residential area. The people, the devotees somehow or other had purchased a building in a residential area to use as a temple, and it wasn't zoned, uh, which, is a very strange thing to do. But they had done that before I arrived. So and Lenin invited us to live there. So I live on Lenin's land, and I had some, I had a nice relationship with him. Um, I was working a renovation in the house that he had purchased the estate of some lord or something like that, who and it was 17 acres and with a nice grounds and everything.
mm.
So we were renovating his house, and I was in his house day after day and doing. His wife was this Yoko Ono. Have you
Mm.
ever? And she was very much against.
Krishna consciousness and Srila Prabhupada, the devotees, right?
Yeah, the thing is, my impression was she just wanted to own John Lennon, and if he
Mm,
had an interest in anyone else or anything else, um, it was a threat to her, and that's where it went. And he had to apparently he had a kind of nervous breakdown. His life kind of fell apart, and she took over everything. She took over his life, and he was took a very subordinate role. So he played her game. As Srila Prabhupada said to me one time, because I told her some of the things. She told me, "You get high in your way, we get high in our way." They were taking hard drugs.
mm, mm, mm.
And I told you he said he's a nice boy,
But the woman is
but
useless. Something,
yeah, yeah,
something. I don't know. Was it that?
that's exactly. He said,
Mm,
but that woman is useless.
mm,
So so that was that, and then Srila Prabhupada could see that it wasn't going anywhere. And he said, let's leave this place. And we
mm,
did. Um, anyway,
It's Srila Prabhupada's transcendental position. It's like, it seems very elusive, the way he deals with people on an individual basis and encourages them and then, makes them feel like they're on the top of the world.
Srila Prabhupada, he's well, he's inconceivable, of course, because
Mm,
he's a pure devotee. But he could talk with everybody and anybody and meet them at their level. And sometimes he could be, like I saw one interview where where the interviewer was a lady, and she was very cynical,
mm.
and you know how they ask questions that, but you have lots of cars,
Yeah, I
and
saw that.
Srila Prabhupada said, yes, of course, why not? I'm, I'm the representative of God. Why I should have, a golden car, you know.
Mm,
But, but he said things like, he said, I think she said something like, and you sit on a very big seat. And he said, yes, he said, that's why I'm talking to you, but I'm only sitting on this cushion, something like that. And then uh, he said, I'm something to the effect that I'm talking to you like this because I can see that you're really envious of me.
yes, yes, yes.
And, but he had the ability to say it, just, it's, and be charming at the same time. Srila Prabhupada, yeah. Yeah, it's Krishna consciousness. I don't know how to say this, but at times, uh, again and again, I think the whole thing is so amazing. I
Mm,
mean, the way we grew up, the way I grew up, with no religion at all. My parents were against religion,
mm,
and just searching for something. But to actually all of a sudden hear, I mean, every time I think of it, that there's another world. It's it's made of very subtle matter, more subtle than mind, more subtle than intelligence, and more subtle than false ego. And everyone there is eternal, and they have an eternal relationship with Krishna, and it's very beautiful there.
mm,
And God is a teenager, right? He
mm,
never gets older than that, and everybody's very happy there, and and that I'm here in this world because I chose. I was, I don't know, envious of Krishna, and I wanted to. I thought, why can't I be Krishna? And I and I'm and I've been here for millions of births. Well, that's what do you do with that information? It's like, it's amazing. It's
mm.
amazing. I mean, and you can't tell anybody because, well, you could try if you feel like they would listen. It's so beautiful. It's like, you know what Disneyland is like, right?
I've
A
never
little
been to
bit.
Disneyland.
No, me neither. Nor would I ever want to go there.
Mm,
But it's like it's so, it's like a dream come true. This world is so full of suffering. There's wars all the time, people killing each other, and there's diseases like COVID, And that was nothing compared to, like, there were plagues in history, I think. Is it called the Black Plague or something? I forget, where people were dying by the millions. And wars and plagues and volcanoes and hurricanes and tidal waves and earthquakes swallowing. There was an earthquake in, what's the name of that country? Turkey recently, and 50,000 people were killed overnight. Their houses all fell in on them, and uh, this is the world we live in. And all the living entities live by eating other living entities, and we've been through it all. I mean, our understanding is that we've been all the different species. And I live in the forest, and I can see, I've seen the pack of whatchamacallit, pack of coyotes chasing a deer,
Oh wow.
right by my house. Like, they want to jump on it and tear him to pieces. And
Mm.
and that's the only way they can live.
Mm.
I once heard a bird by this in front of the house by this stream, crying, weeping. You could hear its cries. And I went down to the street. Uh, an owl had caught a bird and was holding it down on the ground under its wings. And it was going, apparently, the owls are carnivorous. And if they catch another bird, they eat them alive. So
Mm-hmm.
we've been through all that. We've been owls, and we've been birds, and we've been coyotes, and we've been uh, sometimes tearing others apart, sometimes being torn apart. And so, and there's children, I read about children in Guatemala that live in gangs in the garbage dumps, little kids, 5, 6 years old, with no parents. Um, we're very, very fortunate, and we're in a position to be
Right.
devotees. But the whole thing is Krishna consciousness. I know that I'm just a beginner, Prabhu, a real, real beginner.
Mm.
But I know that I think, you know, I believe that I have faith that if I was qualified, Srila Prabhupada could show me Krishna today.
Mm.
Any of us, if we were ready, he's just waiting for us to be ready to prove to him that this is what we want more than anything else. And so that's amazing to know that, to understand that we're in touch with somebody who is accepting us as his students, as his children, so to speak, spiritual children, and that he has a personal relationship with Krishna, and that if we sh- show him that, if we can convince him that this is what we want more than anything else, um, he talks about, a television set in the heart. Of course, he's using a metaphor or an analogy that we can relate to. But in other words, he can give us full vision of Krishna, and it's interactive. There are video games that are interactive. It's not like just watching a movie. You're playing a part. So, so we can have that while we're still in this body, we can also have an interactive relationship with the spiritual world. But of course, that's very, very advanced. I'm reading a book by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that was recommended to me, and he's describing all the different levels, and you can see by reading something like that that we've hardly begun. That's
These are different levels of consciousness or understanding or realization or all.
realization.
Hmm.
Um, just amazing, stage after stage. I mean, Srila Prabhupada said that that the first stage is to have the experience that I'm not this body.
Brahma Bhuta Prasantatma, right?
Incredible. I mean,
Hmm.
but I completely identify with my body. I think this. I feel like it's me. It's not me. I know theoretically that I'm not this body and my false ego, like my gender, for instance.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
I could have been, uh, uh, a feminine in another birth and a masculine in another birth,
Right, 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 right,
but
right.
I feel like a man.
Hmm.
Feel like a man. If I look at a woman, a beautiful woman, I
Hmm.
have to turn my head away because they say, "Wow, that's a beautiful woman."
Right.
But I, I'm I'm a conditioned soul.
Hmm.
I have a false ego, a false sense of self, and I'm under the modes of material nature. But I feel very, very fortunate that I'm on this path. But I
Hmm.
really feel very, very. I understand. The longer I'm in it, the more I understand that myself, I've hardly begun. I, I wouldn't know what to do
Hmm.
without Krishna consciousness because I don't know. It's the only thing that keeps me going is the hope that of and I'm really concerned about. Well, you know, say, how old are you? 35?
I'm 38, born in 1985.
All right, you're 38. So I'm 80 years old next month.
Wow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, you know, what do you think an insurance company would think if I wanted a life insurance policy?
No
Say we're
way,
not going
Jose.
to say, forget it. You're dead in any day now. So I know that I could live another 5 or 10 years, but who knows?
Right.
You know, so people drop dead all the time.
Yes.
So um, what I mean to say is, I think about it a lot.
Hmm.
Like, where will my consciousness be when I'm leaving this body?
Right. That's the key
I'm
question. Yeah. That's the key
will
question. Yeah.
will I be frightened? Will
Uh,
I be too? Will I be too uncomfortable, too materially uh
experience soul leaving the body. Right.
yeah, will I be too materially disturbed
Right.
uh to think of Krishna and Srila Prabhupada?
Hmm.
You know, I think about it a lot, and the only way I can um make sure that I can do is is by cultivating that and trying to make each day count. And
Hmm.
I feel so deficient. Uh, I feel like I wish I could do some more for a service.
Hmm.
But I'm living outside of the city, and
Hmm.
I know that Srila Prabhupada wanted farm communities, and at the same time he wanted us to preach. So I don't know how to reconcile living away
Hmm.
from the city and and not being able to preach, like that. So I have a lot of concerns. I'm talking to you not like I'm giving a class. I'm just talking to you, one person to another. You know what I mean?
Mm,
You're my god brother. So uh, I really wish I could do more. I wish I could do more. I think I think I think of going into the well, when I go to the city, I pass out books and things like that.
mm,
Yeah, the small books. I just give them away for free because I'm a very shy person.
mm.
So I don't know how to say, "Here's a book. Can you give me some money?" I don't I don't know how to do that. I just I'm not very aggressive like that socially. So I just say, "Here, can I give you this book?" And some people say, "Forget it." I'm not in. Other people say, "Oh, thank you very much. It's amazing." And I give them to cashiers or I give them to people in parking lots if I'm going to a store, and it feels really good. And I put them in. There are shelves in different, like the library. In the library, there's a shelf, and for where you can put books that are free
Mm.
that people can just take. So I go by the library and I put 10 books on the shelf, and then I check it out to see how they're going when I go to town. If it's time.
Do you
And
have
I
an email address or stamp on the book? Say if they want to
Yeah,
contact you do have that.
I
Great.
put a little. I paste uh, a little piece in the front with
Mm.
my name, my phone number, and my email address. And I
Got it.
say, if you want to discuss and so far, it's been over a year since I started doing that. One person called me.
Got it.
Yeah. So, but so I want to do, but I really wish I could do more.
Got it. Amazing. I just want to share some readings from Srila
Yeah,
Prabhupada's book here. Okay, this is from the Nectar of Devotion, chapter. Can you see it? Mm,
yeah.
here,
I I'm gonna try and take out your picture so I can read. Let's see. Ronald singing, Sean does. Uh, show video grid. I'm not show thumbnail video. What does
one
that
second.
mean?
What's going on? Hold on.
Mm,
One,
show.
one second, Ishan Prabhu. There is software here. Okay, this is better. Yes. Screen is loading.
Okay, I got rid of us. It's and where? What are we looking at? What part?
This is Nectar of Devotion, chapter 18. Character of one in ecstatic love. This is from chapter 18 of Nectar of Devotion.
Yeah. Should we read it
Yeah,
together?
yes, you can read the first paragraph here. Up to here.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. This imitative attachment can be divided into two headings, namely shadow attachment and what's that next word? Para?
Para. Yes.
Uh, transcendental attachment. Uh-huh. If someone, without undergoing the regulative principles of devotional service, or without being guided by a bona fide spiritual master, shows such imitative attachment, it is called shadow attachment. Sometimes it's found that a person actually attached to material enjoyment or salvation has the good fortune to associate with pure devotees while they're engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord. And by the good grace of the Lord, one may also cooperate and join in the chanting. At that time, simply by the association of such pure devotees, the moonlike rays from their hearts, reflect on him, and by the influence of the pure devotee, he may show some likeness of attachment caused by inquisitiveness, but it's very flickering. And and if by the manifestation of such shadow attachment one feels the disappearance of all material pangs, that is called para attachment. Now, I can only guess. I'm not really capable of giving you anything definitive on that,
Mm.
but I can understand. I think that Srila Prabhupada's saying that, like, the last sentence is a bit of a puzzle to me. But up to that point, that if we, by chanting in the association of a pure devotee, somebody could become, I don't know, there's a potency
Mm.
that that they can actually get a kind of contact high. Have you ever
Mm.
heard that
Yeah.
expression?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm using words that just to speak because I don't know what the transcendental words to describe. But I'm thinking that's what he's saying, and that, but it's it it's because of inquisitiveness. You know, he's okay. He says he may cooperate and join the chanting. So he says it's like he's checking it out. He's saying
Mm.
this person is. He looks really different. He's dressed like that. His head is shaved,
Mm.
and he's conducting this chanting that I've never heard anything like. But I'll check it out, then he might get a contact high
Mm.
kind of thing. And Srila Prabhupada says it's very flickering. And so it looks like the real thing, but it's not the real thing.
Yes.
It's like, so he calls it shadow, like in the shadow where there's a substance, it can make a shadow, but that looks like the real person, the shadow looks like the person, the shape of the person, but it's not the person. There's no substance in it. So it looks like attachment, but it's not the real thing. It's just some kind of eh, contact high kind of thing. But then he says something different. He says, but if by the manifestation of such a shadow attachment, one actually feels the disappearance of all material pangs, then it's a different level of attachment.
Yeah.
Um,
Para
and
attachment.
I don't know if he means in the moment or if he means that he stays on that platform. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. 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 That is not clear in this last
So
paragraph.
then he says such shadow attachment or para attachment can develop if one associates with a pure devotee,
Mm.
or visits holy places like Vrindavan or Mathura. Now that's even more strange to me. He's
Mm.
saying that just by going to a sacred place like
Mm.
Vrindavan or Mathura, um,
It awakens
what,
them. Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know if he means like a one of us who knows that Vrindavan is a holy place and becomes really elated by going there, or if he means someone who doesn't know anything and just walking through that place, it happens to them. I don't know.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? That would
Yes.
be
Yes. Yes.
really amazing. I
And
don't I don't think people generally have that kind of experience, although I could understand that if a Krishna conscious student or disciple uh, who knew that Vrindavan is the place of Krishna's pastimes, if they went there,
mm.
um, they might get very excited and feel um, a kind of a shadow attachment. That's very flickering because after a certain time they say, "Well, I'm really hungry. Where's the marketplace or something?" So, but so such shadow or part it can develop if one associates. Okay, and if an ordinary man develops that kind such attachment for Krishna and fortunately performs devotional activities in the association of pure devotees, he can also rise to the platform of pure devotional service. I think Srila Prabhupada is saying um, that if a person has that kind of experience and then has the good fortune to really get engaged
Mm.
in devotional activities, but under the guidance and in the association of a pure devotee, he can he can rise to the platform of pure devotional service. Now, how fast or how long that takes,
Yeah.
somebody could do it. Theoretically, I think very quickly in a day, and another person might take
Many lifetimes.
lifetimes. I think an awful lot depends on our sincere um, heartfelt desire. It's like, I think if we wanted to know Krishna more than we wanted life itself,
Right.
that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. You have no
But
other
I don't,
desire. It's
I don't, it would be nice if I could be like that, but I think there's some kind of influence of the illusory energy which seems to
um,
that sense of that intense, even the knowledge that we have such a tremendous opportunity, and we don't, and we could die at any moment, but we don't, on the one hand, we don't appreciate the opportunity enough, and on the other hand, we're not frightened enough of material life.
hmm,
We think everything's okay, which which is kind of crazy. But so I mean, if a person really appreciated the opportunity and wanted it more than life itself, I think the doors would be open to them.
yeah.
Um,
Dhruva
but
Maharaj.
yeah, it took him 6 months, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was doing very severe austerities
Yeah.
as a young boy, a child in the jungle or forest. And I think even he was stopping eating and all kinds of things. So, I mean, and of course, it could have been a different time, like
Yes.
a
Yeah.
different yuga
Yes.
when because I read that somebody, I forget the name of the sadhu or the personality, like they meditated for 60,000 years, you know, which wasn't so that, but of course he did it in 6 months. So then the conclusion is that a transcendental attachment is so powerful that as such attachment is seen manifested even in some common man by the association of a pure devotee, it can bring one to the perfectional stage. But such attachment for Krishna cannot be invoked in a person without his being sufficiently blessed by the association of pure devotees. So, um, what I get from it more than anything else is this theme of the importance of having a relationship
Hmm.
with a pure devotee.
Hmm.
And without, like it says, the attachment that makes a person go forward, etc. And a person makes a person want more and makes a person want to be a devotee. It's only we have, if we can associate intimately with a pure devotee, we, so to speak, become infected with his qualities. And he's saying, that's the bottom line of this paragraph. It just won't happen without being sufficiently blessed by the association of a pure devotee. And he says, does that make sense to you? That's why I keep saying, you know, that it's the whole sum and substance. It's
Mm,
everything. I mean, there may be some exceptional cases where somebody's blessed directly by Krishna or something, but I think that's highly irregular and unusual. It's all about our relationship with, we have to get closer and closer to Srila Prabhupada and
mm,
really feel his presence and try to cultivate that. And then because when we want to approach him, he knows it. And so he could reciprocate by blessing us. Um, and so he says, this attachment cannot be invoked without being sufficiently blessed by the association of pure devotees. That the pure devotee, he understands how much we want it.
mm,
And that's the whole sum and substance. That's all I can understand. Now I try to associate with Srila Prabhupada in my mind, in my heart, and I'm to be trying to be honest. I'm forgetful so much of the times, and then
mm,
I come back to it. I find that when I lose my sense of connection with him, um, well, Maya creeps in at any moment, and there's all these things in the heart. They call them desire seeds. It's
mm,
described in another part of Nectar Devotion, and they sprout or they germinate and they rise up, and there are the reactions to past sinful activities. And you never know what's on the back burner in that sense, what's going to come up next. And the only way to sidestep those things is if we're being protected by association with a pure devotee, haha Prabhu Koradoya Dehom, oh Master, be merciful and give me the shade of your lotus. We're praying for protection from these things because, if there are lots of people who who do terrible things, even murders and stuff like that, who never thought they would. But it rises up, their karma is coming due. It rises up in their hearts. They're in a certain situation and they lose all control of themselves and they do terrible things, all
mm.
kinds of things. So, so then hurtful things, whatever. So, so we need his protection. And
Yeah.
when he sees that we're really holding on to him, like it says in 434 of Gita, the spiritual master by nature, he's very, very kind. And when he sees that we really want it, he blesses us,
Mm,
you know. So um, that's all I can understand. Now, I try to stay in touch with Srila Prabhupada because I'm afraid of the material nature. I'm afraid of my own material nature. Um, I feel protected by him, by the holy name, the presence of the. I've been contemplating a lot in the last couple of days. We can't contemplate it enough that the holy name is Krishna, that the holy name is Krishna. Like, it's not that we're saying the name of somebody who's who's something else, like he's the person in the next room, or the name is not different from Krishna. And to just, it's so foreign to the way we think materially that the name of someone is the person. But apparently, in the spiritual, according to the laws of spiritual nature or spiritual reality, the name is Krishna. Well, we and a great deal depends on chanting with real sincerity. In other words, we should be worshiping the sound vibration of the holy name. We should be kind of embracing the sound vibration, holding it to our heart. But we do it, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. But we can even do it absent-mindedly, but it, but but actually it's Krishna right there. But how is we'll never if we want to, we have to realize Krishna's presence in the name. But if we're not, that means, it says if that this in teachings of Lord Chaitanya that the spiritual master chants the name, and if the disciple chants with the equal respect, that becomes the worship of the holy name. So we have to try and understand what is Srila Prabhupada's attitude when he's chanting the name. I mean, uh, so uh, if we can't understand, then we have to beg him to let us understand. So this is all part of what he's saying here, that this kind of attachment can't be invoked without being sufficiently blessed by the association of a pure devotee. And well, being blessed by his association, I think of being blessed by him personally as a benediction, and then I think also just by being near him, and feeling his presence. Um, they're both. But I think that a person who really tries to, like, one of the things I pray is, please let me feel your presence. There's this in our songbook, there's one line, please let me be with you. And I ask for that. I ask for that. I don't deserve it, but I ask for it. And and I think that when we really show him that we want, he gives us an experience that enables us to understand that this is a transcendental reality. It's not just a theory, it's something we can bring into focus as an experience. And so I keep saying, like I've been saying, I'm going to be better. I'm going to do more. I'm going to do it more seriously, more. I'm going to be more devoted. I'm going to hang on to him. I'm going to, but of course, every day goes by, and I think I could have done a lot better. But I think this is what it takes. If we don't aspire for it, it's never going to happen. But so I what's it says? What does it say? Meeting summary A1. Is there something they're telling us? What are they telling us?
Oh, it just click OK. It doesn't. I'm just testing out the
Okay.
features.
Yeah. So these are things I think about. So what does he say next? He says, as attachment can be invoked by the association, attachment can also be extinguished by offenses committed. So he gets offended if we don't keep his instructions.
Yes.
And to be more clear, By the association of pure devotees, attachment for Krishna can be aroused. Well, that's amazing. That's what I think. But if one commits offenses at the lotus feet of a devotee, one's shadow attachment or para attachment can be extinguished. Well, that's amazing.
Hmm.
That's amazing. It means that just as we can please him, we can offend him.
Yes. Yes.
He can withdraw his mercy. This extinguishing is like the waning of the full moon. That means we really have to, okay, I'll use words like, the word WOO? You know that word?
Whoa.
Woo?
Whoa. Yeah. Yeah.
If a man wants to have a relationship with a woman,
Yes.
he woos her. You're familiar with that word?
Yes. Yes. Narayan explained that word to me. Yes.
Oh, so it's like really you're cultivating, you're making them feel convinced that you really want to be close to them.
Hmm.
That's what, and only way we can make them feel convinced is
It's saying
is
try
is
to
by
gain the love of a woman, seek the support
what's
or
they
custom love. Yes.
there's a big dark spot over the screen and I don't know what it is.
Oh,
What's
this is the
that?
meaning here. Woo.
Oh, you're looking it up.
Yes.
Wooing try to gain the love of a woman. So we're trying to gain the love of Srila Prabhupada,
Hmm.
but but by showing him that we really care to please him,
Hmm.
but he's just, he. I don't think it's that he's so hard to please.
Hmm.
I think that the problem is with us that we're not serious enough. Well, I'm talking about myself, and that it's not so it's not so much it's a combination of what we do in our practical life, just like you trying to open up a temple. Well,
Hmm.
that means a lot. But then on the other hand, um, there's the personal relationship
Yes.
that um, they're both required.
Yes.
And because a person can do it, open up a temple. Like I read a thing in the Bible.
Hmm.
Uh, not that we go there very often in
Hmm.
our discussion, but like it says, there's this part where Jesus is saying something like, I I I healed people in your name. I took I did austerities in your name. I did this in your name. I did that in your name, meaning on behalf of you, right? And
Hmm.
and Jesus said, I never knew you. Did you ever read anything like that? I don't know. Were you raised with any of these Christian um, uh, influences in your life? I just read the Bible after I became a devotee. I had never
Hmm.
looked at it before, but I saw that. He
Hmm.
says, he says, who are you? I never knew you. He said, I did all these. So it's more than just doing all the
Yes.
things,
Yes.
but
Yes.
it's about,
Cultivating a relationship. Yes.
yeah, a conscious one.
Yes.
And like we should be talking to Srila Prabhupada and praying to Srila Prabhupada and revealing our mind and our feelings and asking for advice and just really just it's a relationship. He's our best friend. He's the external manifestation of Krishna in the heart. So he's like, we could be relating to him like we would relate to Krishna,
Mm,
because he is, um, he's a manifest, he's an, I don't have the right words, but he has the role. He's get empowered as a Shakti Avesh avatar to be non-different for us, like the all-pervasive super soul. He's the external manifestation of the Lord in the heart. So, in other words, he's closer to us than we could guess.
right.
You know what I mean? And that, and so we can, but we have to accept that and
Mm,
then embrace that
mm,
and by acting on it, and it'll be revealed to us that he's with us. I can feel his presence when
mm,
I start to talk like this, because that I'm reminding myself that this is what I should be doing. I guess that's part of why association with other God brothers is so important,
mm,
because you can't talk like about these things with anyone else.
mm,
Um, but yeah, we should be like, I can feel Srila Prabhupada's presence, and I feel
mm,
a warm feeling in my heart, and I feel like I want to hug him,
mm,
and and I feel grateful, and I feel his love. But I can only feel that when I'm reaching for it.
mm,
The thing is, I'm not intelligent enough to constantly be reaching for it. You understand what I'm saying?
mm,
But I'm thinking that if we were constantly reaching for it, he would show us more and more and more and more. He's just waiting to see if we really want it. He's
mm.
only here to give it, to give us all knowledge, all realization. But he's only going to give us as much as he sees that we want it. So
Right.
he's waiting for us. So let's see what he said. Which part? Where are we on this?
I think we're
Uh,
here.
which,
One,
which
yes.
oh, one should therefore be very careful. Yeah, you know, um, yeah, we can't be, we have to show him that we are owned by him. Just
Mm,
like we're, like a dog is owned by its master, and a dog doesn't think, well, today I'll take it easy. He,
mm,
you know what I mean? He's
yes.
always looking to the master, and there's one Vaishnav prayer like that, to become like the dog of his master, and so we have to be really careful. And I think, yeah, not to really show him we appreciate the opportunity, because it's a very personal thing. He's 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 making himself so available to us, and if we turn our back on it,
Yes.
eh,
And
then
we're the
it's
losers. Yes.
it's personal. He he he's coming to us, and he's giving lectures and opening temples and installing deities for
Mm,
us, and you know he really, really cares about us
mm,
more than we can imagine. And if we take it for granted, yeah, I'm a devotee, but I feel like a little lazy today. you know so transcendental attachment, either shadow or para, can be nullified by different degrees of offense. So there's different degrees of offenses at the lotus feet
yeah.
of pure devotee. But if the offense is very serious, then one's attachment becomes almost nil. In other
Mm,
words, okay, so our whole attachment to the process, our even our ability to want to be a devotee.
Mm.
It's it'll be enhanced by his blessing, or it'll be retracted
Yes.
uh, by his. If
Offensive.
it's very serious,
Mm.
our attachment. So a person who all of a sudden they have no feeling anymore for Krishna consciousness because
Mm.
they've offended Srila Prabhupada.
Yes.
Um, and if the offense is not very serious, one's attachment can be second class or third class. Like, so what Srila Prabhupada seems to be saying is that our ability to be attached to Krishna consciousness depends on totally on our relationship with him. It's a personal relationship. If we're offending him, we'll lose our, if we're really hanging on to him in a nice way, he gives us the ability to really want to feel attached to the whole process of being a devotee. And if we're not pleasing him, uh, we won't be able to have that. And that's what it all comes down to. People, um, one of my best friends, he was the vice president of the Vancouver Temple, and he was dressing the deities every day and doing a nice job, but he left Krishna consciousness. He said it didn't work for me.
Mm.
So the ability to feel it, it's not just doing things, it's really all based on our relationship with Srila. The closer we get to Srila Prabhupada, the more we're blessed with the ability to love being a devotee, to enjoy being a devotee, to want to be close to Krishna, to desire to be close to Krishna, and to feel really blessed that we have this chance to be close to Krishna. It's all dependent on our relationship with Srila Prabhupada. I think that's what we're reading here,
Mm.
and I believe it, and I'm so glad that, see, from my point of view, Krishna sent you to me tonight to tell me get on my horse and get and and this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about, and that there, it's totally up to us. It's totally up to us, and if we're sincere, um, we're it's all going to work, and wherever we're at is just a manifestation or I'm looking for words, um, an indication, an index, an indication, wherever we're, of, it's showing us our own level of sincerity. If we're really enjoying, loving being a devotee and really enjoying it, it means that Srila Prabhupada's pleased with us.
Mm.
And so a person like me, I need this. I can't live without it. Some people, they I don't know. You meet people on the street, and other people say, "How you doing?" And the other guy says, "Oh, I'm doing great." And I, I think there's some people, life just seems to work for them so well, but me, I really I need Krishna consciousness. I can't live without it. I don't seem to be very good at it, but I can't live without it. I'm hanging
Mm.
on because I wouldn't know. So um, we're all so unique and so different. What you got there,
One second.
conversation.
One second. I was reading this interesting fact from this book. Is it sharing? It's not sharing. Okay, is it sharing now? Come on. Can you see it now? No, huh? No.
The screen is black.
Okay, one second.
Well, you know how to play with this equipment.
Yeah, come on. Your screen sharing is loading. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. What the reason the body is not false. The Srila Prabhupada is talking about the soul.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here, this is from the book called Dialectic Spiritualism. Srila Prabhupada is commenting about the soul. Srila Prabhupada, the soul is not created, but is eternally existing along with God.
Yeah, we're part of God. Imagine that.
Mm.
Imagine what I'm gonna say, that you and I are God.
Mm.
We can't be separated from God. We're just not the whole God. We're tiny little bits, but we are God in that
Yes,
sense because
yes,
we're
yes.
part of the body of God. If metaphorically speaking, we're His
Mm.
energy. We're His
Mm.
energy, and we're spiritual energy, just like He is, except that He's infinitely great, and we're infinitely small. But we're part of Him. That's incredible to think about, to contemplate. So he says, the soul is not created, but is eternally existing along with God. The soul has independence to turn from God.
Mm.
That's me. In which case, he becomes like a spark falling from a great fire. When the spark's separated, it loses its illumination. In any case, the individual soul is always there. The master and his servants are there eternally. We cannot say that the parts of a body are separately created. As soon as the body is present, all the parts are there. So we're part of God. The soul is never created and it never dies. It's hard for a mind like mine to understand what eternity means.
Mm.
We think, and everything we think about, something comes into being, and it's manifest, and then it's not. To understand that there's never been a time when we didn't exist, you know, it's amazing, but
Mm.
I like it. But it's amazing to me. I don't, it's like I've been trying to understand these things for some 50 odd years, but the more I think about it, the more amazing it is.
Mm.
As soon The soul is never created and never dies, and this is confirmed in the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. No birth. He has not he has not come into being. He does not come into being. He will not come into being. He's unborn, he's eternal, he's ever existing. We're eternal, Prabhu.
Mm.
You and me, we're eternal. That's amazing.
That's a liberating feeling already.
Well, I think we're supposed to think about it a lot.
Mm.
He's not slain when the body's. It may appear that the soul comes into existence
Mm.
and dies, but this is because he's accepted a material body. When the soul is liberated, he, he doesn't have to accept another material body. He can return home back to Godhead in his original spiritual body. So we have, as I understand it, we have an original spiritual body.
Mm.
It's what we are, but it's
Yeah.
covered. That's amazing. Can you, I don't know how to say, but how am I trying to say? What am I? That imagine understanding who we really are, not
Mm.
only what we really are, but there's a personality, and
I
um,
mean, there's a personality now, and there's a personality in the spiritual body as well.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's not
Well,
inconsistent.
there's two things. There's two because I hear sometimes I read things that say that, like Lord Chaitanya is his disciplic succession. There, he's distributing love of Krishna in a conjugal mood.
Mm.
But and then on the other hand, we read things that where it's expressed by Srila Prabhupada that we all have an original uh, personality and form that has to be uncovered. So I
Mm.
don't know how to reconcile that. But between you and me, it seems so far away
Mm.
that it does. There's people who are very intellectual and they like to study all these things about higher forms of realization. But I think to me, I think the real point is what am I doing about it right now? Like, am I working on trying to get closer to Srila Prabhupada? Then everything will be revealed. That's the way I feel about these things. But it's interesting. So when the soul is liberated, he doesn't have to accept another material body, but he can return home back to Godhead in his original spiritual body. We have an original spiritual body. And we are an original spiritual body, but we're covered by this lump of skin and bones.
Mm.
There's a deer died in the field behind my house, and it's been slowly decaying
Mm.
uh, for the past 3 4 months,
Oh.
and now it's almost like a skeleton, and I I I have to go into the field every day for different purposes, and I check it out, and I can see how a living entity that the body is just, it's just matter and it's going to turn back into earth and water and stuff
Mm.
like that, and that this body that I think is a person, it's really not. It's
Mm.
really just this. it's
But it's a
it's
machine.
really
Yeah.
it's a it's an amazing technology that, because it's made of mud and water and the
Mm.
material elements, and it has all these textures and shapes, and
Earth, fire, water, ether, this all in this our bodies, which we are not.
it's amazing. It's so amazing.
Mm.
It really, Krishna did a great job. I mean, he made
Yeah.
it so appear so real, and none
Yeah.
of it is real. The whole
Mm.
material world it's like a fabrication,
Mm.
and even the material energy, even the whole universe becomes dissolved at
Yes.
some point.
Yes.
It doesn't even stay as earth and water.
Mm.
It becomes non-manifest at the end of the universe, and is absorbed into, I don't know where it goes. I think all the souls go back into Mahavishnu in a kind of dormant
Yeah.
state.
Yes. Yes.
So
Sure. And then I think the creation happens and it continues wherever you
yeah,
left off. Basically, yeah. You continue where you left off after some period of suspension. Okay, Srila
it-
Prabhupada says the soul was never created, but is always existing with God. If we say that the soul was created, the question may be raised, whether or not God, the Supreme Soul, was also created. Of course, this is not the case. God is eternal, and his parts and parcels are also eternal. The difference is that God never accepts a material body, whereas the individual soul, being but a small particle, sometimes succumbs to the material energy. Joy.
Just that it all works this way is really amazing to me. That I don't know. Uh, it's impossible for my mind to think sometimes that Krishna. Well, on the one hand, we think of him as a creator, but that's a material concept
Mm,
because because Krishna's eternal and we're eternal, but the way we are, we're eternal with a choice, with an eternal choice, an eternal ability to make a choice, and some of us, and we're made in such a way that that we make the wrong choice. We have the ability to make the wrong choice, and boy, I wish I didn't make the wrong choice, but I did. Should we read more?
Yes, 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 yes. We'll read more. Disciple, if the soul eternally existing with God in a spiritual form, Prabhupada, yes. So the soul has a form that is incorruptible. Then, what kind of form is the material body? Srila Prabhupada. The material body is an imitation. It is false. Because the spiritual body has form, the material body, which is a coating, takes on form. See here? So the spiritual
Yeah,
body has a form. So this material body is like a coating, which is coating takes on form. As I have already explained, a cloth originally has no form, but a tailor can cut the cloth to fit a form. In actuality, this material form is illusionary. Matter originally has no form. Wow, matter originally has no form. It takes on form for a while as a body, and when the body becomes old and useless, the matter returns to its original position. In the Bhagavad Gita 1861, the body is compared to a machine. The soul has its own form of spirit, but he is given a machine made of matter, the body, which he uses to wander throughout the universe, attempting to enjoy himself. Wow.
and you know, he says that the soul is asleep inside the body, and that the material nature is doing everything.
Yes,
And we think we're doing something and we're doing nothing at all.
yes.
That's really, that's really hard to understand. You know what I read tonight? I read uh, a, a lecture being given by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. And you know what he said?
What did he say?
He said, he said something that was very surprising. He said that we should see our spiritual master in every person that we interact with
Wow.
and in everything, even inanimate things. Srila, we should see Srila Prabhupada in every stone, in every blade of grass, in every lump of earth, in every door handle that we turn, in every door that we walk through, in every counter that we sit at, he's in the counter, and in every person or living entity that we interface, we should because so I thought, wow, that's really amazing. I never heard it put like that. But then if you think that he's the external manifestation of the Lord in the heart, the all-pervasive super soul, well, if he's all-pervasive, he's in everything. So then that would be the basis for humility when dealing with other people, right?
Yes, yes,
Does it make sense?
yes.
Is it I didn't make this up. I read it. I
Hmm.
was I was amazed. And I thought, wow, I should copy this out and put it on my desk, or put it on the wall. There's a We should see our spiritual master. And then because the body is not the person, the body's not a person. The soul in that body is asleep,
Hmm.
thinking that, having a dream, but the dream is gross. It's not subtle. It's the dream of that this illusory world is real and that I'm this body. We were having a dream, and there are some things that are hard to understand for me, but apparently the way the dream works depends, like the soul who's asleep within the body is suffering because it's identifying with the body, and it's identifying with its so-called life and the things that are happening to it, to that in the dream, and the soul apparently, like Krishna arranged it, that nobody can be happy in a material body.
Hmm.
He made it purposely as a form of therapy to wear down our spirit of independence. Does that
Hmm.
make sense?
Yes, yes, yes.
So, so then if we're responding to the therapy, some souls apparently will just keep chugging along, and that their enthusiasm for being an independent enjoyer,
Hmm.
they'll maintain it in spite of going through the birth and death and all the disappointments of life.
Burns like fire.
What's that?
And there's a quote that it burns like fire, lust,
Yeah,
all devouring. What is this? All
yeah.
devouring of the sinful.
And some of them will do great austerities,
Yeah.
and some of them will do all kinds of pious activities. So
Hmm.
they'll get really good karma in their next
Hmm.
life, and they'll keep going.
Yeah.
They're really going to make it work for themselves. But of course, they have to die, grow old, get diseased, and go through so many wars and all of that. But the
Uh-huh.
idea is, so I was thinking, no, I lost my train of thought, but uh, yeah, the soul is asleep. So when he's dreaming, nothing's happening to the soul, but he's thinking that this body is me, so it's a dream.
Hmm.
But the dream is not subtle, like when we go to bed at night and we have dreams. The dream is gross.
Hmm.
It's a gross dream, but it's a dream because it has a beginning and an end, and it's not really happening to us. But we are identifying with the dream, and apparently Krishna, as super soul, he can see if the soul is ready to hear about the truth or not. Is
Hmm.
his is his is his independent spirit being chiseled away by experiencing this dream, or does he still want to be independent? And that makes all the difference. And if he's and if the soul who's experiencing the dream and and uh, and identifying with it is thinking that he's sort of feeling that everyone's looking for solutions or answers, but he's ready to hear the real solution. His feeling of independence is weakening, sort of, and he's ready to hear. Krishna gives him the ability to be attracted to to a real teacher. Krishna makes, otherwise he can't be attracted. Srila Prabhupada could walk through a supermarket, or whatever, and but only certain people are attracted to him. Krishna gives us the ability to recognize him when we if we're responding to the therapy, where it's like you've heard of hypnotherapy, right?
Yes, I've heard of it.
That's what we're in hypnotherapy. We're being hypnotized, that we're identifying with this gross dream, and the suffering is to nothing's really happening to us, no matter. Although on one hand we think it could be so horrible, dying of cancer, or being torn apart by in a war, by bombs and shells and everything. But nothing's really happening to us. But we're, but we're taking it. Yeah. So when Krishna sees that it's working on, yeah, we're hypnotized. We're forced to identify with something that's not real. It's just a fabrication. It's just like so making these forms out of clay, and and making it feel like this is me and that's you. So I'm supposed to relate to you like I'm trying to understand you. I'm seeing you as a person. I'm seeing your body, but actually it's a machine.
Mm,
And Krishna is moving the machine.
yes.
That's super soul. And
Mm,
Srila Prabhupada is the external manifestation of that super soul. So I should be relating to you like I'd be relating to Srila Prabhupada. But I offer you my obeisances, and I call you Prabhu, right?
yes.
But but I don't let you know that think of you as my spiritual master, because you might not know what to do with it. I
Mm,
mean, but in my heart, I should be feeling the utmost respect,
mm,
and because you're not moving that body, you're inside and you're asleep,
mm,
theoretically, and and the and the super soul is moving that body. That Trinata Pisunichena, one can chant the holy name in a humble state of mind, thinking himself lower than the straw in the street, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer the greatest respect to others.
mm,
Well, well, I read in Chaitanya Charitamrita that the basis for offering the highest respect to others is to know that you're dealing with the super soul, because the super soul's moving everybody. The person inside is asleep. It's
mm.
we're dealing with the super soul all the time. So that's the basis of being humble. Uh, and it says that we have to be that humble in order to taste the holy name.
Joy.
It says in the previous verse, "Oh my Lord, your holy name." Uh, how does it go? You're so kind that you've made yourself available through the holy name, but I'm so unfortunate I have no attraction for it. But we were just reading about that attraction. So he
Mm,
says, and he says, the next thing says, how one can, verse 2 says that I have no attraction. Verse 3 says, what is the prerequisite for feeling attraction?
mm,
To be that humble. And our scriptures are telling us the basis of that humility is to recognize that I'm not dealing with all these separate people. I'm always dealing with the super soul.
mm,
But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta says, oh, our scriptures are telling us that that the spirit, the bona fide acharya, is non-different. He's the external manifestation of that super soul. So we can't see the super soul, but we can envision that our spiritual master. So we should see seeing our spiritual master and seeing the super soul are the same thing. He's the external manifestation of the Lord in the heart. So so if I see Srila Prabhupada in every body that I'm relating to, I'll have I'll have the I will become humble.
mm,
Uh, it's so mind blowing. It's so amazing. It's so different. We see everybody as a separated individual. I like this one. I don't like that one.
mm.
This one is nice. This one is not nice. This one is young. This one is old. This one is white. This one is
Mm,
black. This one is a man. This one is a woman. But if I see that that's all fabrication of the material nature, it's just like play put together to look at, but I'm really dealing only with the super soul. And so what does it say? Samasarvetu shu bhuteshu. He sees all living entities the same.
wow, yeah, amazing.
And it says there's another one, Pandita Samadarshanaha, that the learned sage sees no difference between the dog and the dog eater and the sage and the Brahmin and this. He sees them all the same. So this is we're just talking about our philosophy. It's such an amazing philosophy. Um, so I have to Srila Prabhupada, I was once in a room with Srila Prabhupada in New York, and one of his, what do you call it, GBC people was there. A guy called Atreya Rishi,
Mm,
and he was a businessman
mm,
and a manager. And he was asking Srila Prabhupada about atonement because it was in the morning class.
read my
Uh,
books.
yeah, he said the atonement rate. So we're all of this is in the books. It's in the books, but like, how much is it dawning on us?
Mm,
It's so amazing to think of these things, to adopt this, to adopt this consciousness. It's called Krishna consciousness.
mm,
You could see how the term Krishna consciousness can be hackneyed.
mm. Yes,
That we just use the word, but we don't know what it means.
body
It's a whole
consciousness.
different
Yes,
consciousness.
yeah.
Huh?
I said body conscious.
Well, it's a different Krishna consciousness is a whole different perception of reality.
Yes.
And we have to cultivate this new perception of reality instead of
Today,
seeing the illusion of separateness. Everybody is an individual, and uh, they're all separate, and they have and you're part of Krishna's body and I'm part of
Mm,
Krishna's body. We're part of the same body. How close we can be.
mm.
So, but not only that, but that's another aside. But apparently, when we become advanced, we have a symptom of is that we have love for every living entity, you know.
Yeah. Today I came to work 8 o'clock. I reached there and within 10-15 minutes, one old lady comes. She's about 74, 75 years old. She comes in a Subaru, parks the car, takes out some cat food, and she's feeding all the cats. And she's been doing that for 9 years. And that particular cat she's been taking care of. She's a
There's
feral.
a there's a lumber yard where I
Uh,
go to in town,
mm,
and there's a guy who works in the yard,
mm,
and he puts down crumbs and broken pieces of bread and water for the little birds that are in the
mm.
yard e-
Oh,
every day.
yeah.
Yeah.
And she said, I've been doing this for 9 years. And this specific cat I've been taking care of for 7 years. I'm like, wow, look at Krishna is arranging all that, such a such an arrangement where the lady's coming, fresh food, fresh water, she cleans up, and then she leaves, and then she comes back the next day. Wow.
So
Oh, we have Vinayak Prabhu from Japan joining us here. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So, after a long time, we have these meetings back on track.
No, this is not on track. This is officially off the track.
Yeah, but still, there's
Well,
meetings with Narna and Prabhu, and that nostalgia is still
hmm?
the meetings with Narna and Prabhu, and it's for me, it's a long time. Like after I have joined these meetings with you,
Mm-hmm.
Ishan.
Right.
let's see the man's face.
VS, reveal yourself.
Hare Krishna.
Do you see him? Ishan Prabhu, this is him. He's a his 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 undercover FBI agent.
I only see you. Let's see the speaker gallery. What should I? It
Gallery.
says,
Gallery.
ah, there he is. There he is. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
He's half Japanese.
Huh. That,
Yeah.
that's it. That's his. I think of it like, you know what Halloween is?
Yes.
Everybody's in a costume, right?
Mm.
Mhm.
That's us. We're all in our different costumes. We're disguised as these bodies are our costumes.
Vinayak Prabhu, any comments, questions, realizations you want to share? We've been having this meeting for some time. So I think is it 11:27 p.m. there, Ishan Prabhu? It's getting late.
I'll have to look, and I have to get up. Yeah, almost 11:30, and I have to get up good
Yes.
and early.
So
I'm go-
Vinayak Prabhu, any comments, questions, or realizations you want to share? And after that, we'll uh, end off the meeting for tonight.
Yeah, like I also joined it late today, so
Hmm.
I think in next meeting I will be with
Hmm.
more like I will be having more things to share or discuss.
Sure. Jai. All right, Ishan Prabhu, thank you very much for your association and spontaneous meeting we arranged. It was not,
Um,
none of this was planned. So,
Ram,
hmm.
I'd really like to do this more.